Have you ever been so overwhelmed by all your responsibilities that you feel paralyzed? You look at all that's in front of you and you're thinking, I don't even know where to start. Have you ever felt like the pace of your life is so fast and furious that you can't even think straight? You can't even think about what you need to think about. Have you ever had a vision or a goal for something that you would love to do, but you think it's never going to happen because I'm already drowning in all the responsibilities? Or maybe you're just looking for an edge, right? You want to optimize your output so that you can reach your full leadership potential. In today's episode, we're going to explore 3 productivity hacks or principles that could revolutionize your leadership. Before we jump in, let me introduce myself. I'm Zach, and I've been a leader in the social sector for about 15 years. When I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. Really, I had to lead people twice my age. I had to make decisions that felt way over my head. I had to take on a level of responsibility that felt completely overwhelming, and I just felt lost in all of it. And so what I did is I decided to become a student of leadership, and I studied great leaders throughout history. I read great leadership books, and I surrounded myself with just phenomenal leadership mentors. And I've made plenty of mistakes over the last 15 years, trust me, but I've learned some really valuable lessons along the way that have really changed the game for me. And that's why I started this leadership community, and that's what this is all about. I want to support and encourage you as you strive to level up your leadership. Today, we're going to be discussing productivity. A lot of people attribute the surge of economics in the 18th century to the birth of modern productivity as we know it. Some people say that Benjamin Franklin, with his spiffy little to-do list, paved the way. But the truth is, people have always sought productivity. We've always looked for better and more efficient ways to do things, to make things better. And we all want to feel like we're getting traction or keeping up. And now AI has created an entirely new regime for what it means to be productive. So we got to talk about this. What is productivity? Productivity is a measure of output, such as work or goods or services, relative to input, like time, resources, or effort. There's an underlying assumption that leaders are productivity experts, but that is not always the case. I really have struggled with productivity throughout my leadership journey, and I think every leader has to wrestle with this. And I think many leaders are feeling the pressure to optimize as much as possible. And so I want to get at the heart of what productivity should look like for a leader, because it's not about staying busy or having a full schedule or getting things done, as David Allen would say. Productivity for a leader should be more about getting the right things done. That's the key. So it goes beyond just being productive, but it's really getting at the heart of being effective. So today, I'm going to share the top 3 principles that have personally served me the most in my leadership. Here's the first one. Ready? Learn how to say no to good things in order to say yes to the most essential things. I'm going to say that again. Learn how to say no to the good things in order to say yes to the most essential things. This is so important for so many reasons. First, the reality is we can't do it all. We can't. We can't be all things to all people. We have limits of time, of resources, of energy, and some leaders don't like to admit that, but it's true. As our responsibilities grow, there comes a point where we have to learn to say no to more things, really good things that maybe in the past we didn't have to say no to. Now, the second reason this is so important is that if we say yes to everything, we will not be able to focus on the most essential things. So how do we identify our essential tasks from non-essential? This can be tricky, but I want to give you a tool to flesh this out. This is a very famous tool. It has served me throughout many, many years. There's a matrix that President Eisenhower actually originated. Stephen Covey popularized it in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but it's been around in different forms for a long time. And it's a really powerful tool for identifying and organizing what is essential and non-essential in your life. So let me see if I can break this down for you. This matrix is broken down into 4 quadrants. All right, you can think of 4 different individual boxes. You have one box that is not urgent and not important. The box to the left of that is urgent but not important. And then you have the boxes above, which are not urgent and important, and urgent and important. So you have 4 different quadrants. Now, here's the important thing to understand. You will have to do the work of listing out everything that you are currently doing and putting them into these quadrants. That's not easy to do. Okay, that takes time, takes some thought. You need to put in that work, or else this tool is useless to you. So start listing your tasks. What are tasks that you would say are absolutely urgent and absolutely important? Okay, write those down in that quadrant. Then shift over to, okay, here are the tasks that are not necessarily urgent, but highly important, okay? Write those down. Now, you're moving down to the bottom quadrants. You're gonna write down, okay, this is urgent. I mean, it's screaming for my attention, but it's not important, okay? That's where you write all those tasks down. Usually those are tasks that other people give you. It's urgent to them, it's not really urgent to you. And then in the last one, it's not urgent, and you can go ahead and say, it's not important. And so get all your tasks listed, and then here's what you do next. This is the best part. You are going to absolutely delete, remove, eliminate the tasks that fall in the not urgent, not important category. You're just going to flat out not do them. Then you move over to the urgent and not important category. And these are the tasks that need to get done because they're urgent, but they don't need you to do them. And these are the tasks that you are going to delegate out. Delegation is a long conversation. That'll probably be another episode, but that is what you do with those tasks. Then you move over to the other quadrant. This is the not urgent and important. Now, these are tasks with, unclear deadlines. Maybe that you're the one who has to set when it gets done. Nobody else is setting it. But they are the things that are going to contribute to a long-term success. Like they are important. These are the things that you're going to need to schedule for you to do. Put them on the calendar. Then the final quadrant, this is the most important. This is the urgent and important. These are the tasks with deadlines or pretty severe consequences if you don't get them done. And you need to make this is your essential thing. Okay, this is your essential bucket. When we say no, so that you can say yes to the essential things, this is what we're talking about. I want you to go through this process at least once a year to recalibrate yourself, because what happens is you do it once, then things change, tasks change, seasons change, you drift a little bit. You need to recalibrate yourself every now and then. So put your essentials on your calendar, and then here's the last part of this principle. It's probably the most important part. You've got to learn how to say no. Now, this is hard for some people, easy for others, but let me tell you how I say no, because I don't like to be mean. I don't want people to feel like they don't matter. I've had to learn how to do this over time. Here's what I say. I would love to, but I already have a commitment. What's my commitment? They don't need to know that. It's something essential, and you shouldn't feel the need to provide an explanation. In fact, if you start trying to provide explanations for why you can't do something, that's what actually starts to hurt people's feelings, because they're like, I'm not more important than that. You don't want to get into that. You just say, I have a commitment, and then what happens is you're a person that stays by your commitments, right? You keep a promise to those. You need to remember that you're not just saying no. You're saying no so that you get to say yes to the best things. That's the key. So when you say no, you're really saying yes to the things that matter most in your life, all right? Okay, that's enough on that. Let's go over to the second hack or principle. Ready for it? Movement creates momentum. Movement creates momentum. I can't remember where I first read this or saw this, but it is a powerful leadership principle. A lot of people have written on it, and it's because it works, and it's a really good thing to be keeping in front of you. Let me put it this way. Anytime I feel stuck, overwhelmed, paralyzed, or unproductive, I remember that movement creates momentum. You just need to start. You just need to take action. You just need to get the ball rolling. You can't be one of these ready, aim, 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 aim people. You gotta, at some point, you've gotta fire the dang bullet. And then guess what happens? The movement of action, right? That action will generate momentum. And that momentum will keep you in this cycle of moving forward. Momentum is a powerful force. It really is. But it all starts with that initial action. Here's the last productivity principle. You ready? Keep a scorecard. Keep a scorecard. I picked this up from Gino Wickman's book, Traction. There's an old business maxim that anything that is measured and watched is improved. It's also been said that what gets measured gets done. And I can tell you, this has been my experience with this. A scorecard is your measuring device. You can put any metrics you want on it. It's totally up to you. It's designed to track what's important to you, and it gives immediate feedback on things that might need attention. I actually have multiple scorecards, and I love tracking numbers and stats, but one of my favorite scorecards is actually my personal journal. Every day I document what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm wrestling with, what happened that day, pretty much anything on my mind, and I always note the date. That's important too. I always put the date down. Not only do I find that this is a really therapeutic or healthy thing for me to just get everything off my brain, but it's also allowed me to look back and study where I used to be and compare it with where I am now. And let me tell you something, that puts a lot of things into perspective. It really, really does. It puts so much into perspective because too many leaders are just, very visionary, looking ahead. Like I'm always thinking ahead. I need the discipline of looking back sometimes. That is a healthy habit. Another scorecard that I encourage you to have is a physical calendar. I know that our Apple phones have calendars, and those are fine too. I use that for my family, especially. We sync up our calendars. But there's something about it that really focuses on the day or the week. And I think too many times we think in terms of that, days and weeks, but we also need to keep track of the big picture. There's something about spreading a calendar open and just looking at a whole month or an entire year at a time that is so helpful. Keeping a scorecard, whether it's statistics, results, numbers, a calendar, or a journal, has dramatically improved my productivity as a leader. And, I think it's because it helps me keep a pulse on things, and it gives me the ability to predict and plan what's around the corner. So I would highly encourage you to consider implementing that. Now, here's the best part, okay? This is the best part. If you combine all of these practices, you have a powerful system in place for a highly productive and effective leader. So first, you organize all your tasks and you focus only on the essential things. Second, you take action and let that create momentum. And then third, you keep a scorecard that tracks your results. And here's the best part. Your scorecard informs you of what is essential, and then you always know what the best action to take is, and then that action continues to fuel your momentum, and you keep track of that with your scorecard, which tells you what's essential, which tells you what action to take, which updates your scorecard, and it's just this wonderful cycle you can get into. And it has served me for many years, and I hope that it serves you too. Hey, if you found this content helpful and you're eager for more, go check out my website, zachwhite.com, and join my leadership community. And I also have a leadership reading list available there that might be helpful to you as well. It might give you some things to do in the meantime, like a playbook in between our time together that we spent here. So with all that said, thank you for spending time with me today, and I'll see you again real soon.